All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today we're looking ahead, kind of peeking into the future with EON Reality's new white paper.
Yeah,
And it's a mouthful.
it is.
EON Reality's next evolution. Purpose-led innovation as we near AGIC. A white paper on democratizing AI and XR for 1 billion learners worldwide.
Wow, yeah.
And, EON Reality has been a leader in AR/VR learning solutions, for education and industry. For 25 years, they've reached, I think, something like 45 million users.
It's a big number.
It's a big number. But now they're setting their sights even higher.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that they're really looking at the strategic shift at a very particular moment in time, right? We're kind of on the cusp of AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, and potentially even ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. And they're making some really interesting choices, I think, in terms of how they're approaching this.
Yeah, and one of the things that jumped out at me immediately was open source.
Right.
That they are embracing open source solutions like their own DeepSeek R1 AI model.
Yeah, and that's a huge shift, I think,
Yeah, what's the thinking there?
Well, I mean, traditionally, these very powerful AI models have been, they've been kept under wraps, right? Very expensive per token, kind of limited access.
Right.
And EON Reality is really making a push to say we need to democratize this technology, make it accessible to everyone if we want to see that kind of mass adoption.
Yeah.
1 billion learners.
Yeah, it's sort of like they're giving away the keys to the kingdom a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, not really giving it away, but they're making a very strategic bet on collaboration and on human ingenuity.
Yep.
They're saying if we open this up, who knows what amazing things people will do with it.
Yeah, and this gets into this concept of purpose-led innovation, which I think is really central to their whole vision.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a core theme throughout the paper.
Yeah.
And I think it's an attempt to answer a very, very important question, which is, what is the role of humans in a world that is going to be increasingly
driven by AI?
What's our purpose?
Yeah, and they're saying that purpose is our superpower in a way.
Okay.
It's what sets us apart from machines, especially as AI gets more and more sophisticated.
Yeah.
So as we're kind of moving towards this potential AGI ASI world, they're saying it's more important than ever for humans to define our purpose and guide AI toward goals that align with human values.
So it's not just technology for technology's sake.
Yeah.
It's about intentionally using it to make a positive impact.
To solve real-world problems.
Yeah.
And, the white paper actually goes a step further.
Okay.
And starts to outline some practical frameworks for how educators, governments, businesses can align this AI-driven XR with broader societal goals.
Give me an example.
You could think about climate change.
Okay.
You could think about workforce reskilling for the future.
Yeah.
Preparing for multiplanetary exploration even.
Wow, so this is big.
Yeah, it's ambitious. But how are they going to make all this happen? This sounds like a massive undertaking.
Well, they have a three-pronged approach. So the first thing is they're creating this, what they call a blueprint document.
Okay.
And this is essentially a set of ethical guidelines and technical standards for AI development.
So kind of like...
It's like saying this is how...
Setting the ground rules.
Yeah, setting the ground rules
Right.
for how we think AI should be built and used responsibly.
Especially with all the concerns about AI ethics.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's prong one. What's prong two?
Prong two is all about community building.
Yep.
They're putting out this call to arms, inviting industry leaders, academics, policymakers to join this open source AI movement.
So it's about collaboration.
It's all about collaboration, knowledge sharing on a global scale.
Okay, so we've got the guidelines, we've got the community.
Right.
What's prong three? How do they actually get this into people's hands?
That's where the rubber meets the road, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And they're doing this through what they call XR hackathons and experience labs.
Okay.
And these are events that are going to be taking place all around the world where local communities can come together and actually build XR training modules that address their specific needs. They'll have access to EON Reality's platform, AI tools, expert support.
Yeah.
It's about empowering people to become creators of these XR experiences, not just passive consumers.
Right.
If you have a challenge in your community that you think could be addressed with AI and XR, you now have the tools and the support to go make it happen.
That's very cool. So it sounds like they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
It's not just about talking about
Right.
democratizing AI and XR. They're actually putting the framework in place
Right.
to make it happen.
They're building the platform.
Yeah.
Setting the guidelines.
Yeah.
Creating the opportunities for people to use it for good.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more to dig into when it comes to EON Reality's vision.
Definitely.
So we'll be right back after a quick break.
Don't go anywhere because we're going to be diving even deeper
into how EON Reality is preparing for a future where AGI and maybe even ASI becomes a reality.
That's right. So, we were talking about how EON Reality is, really trying to democratize access to AI and XR, but they're not stopping there.
Right.
They're also thinking ahead
Yeah.
to a future where, we might be sharing the planet with AGI and potentially ASI.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around that.
It is.
AGI and ASI. It sounds like science fiction.
It does.
But it seems like they're taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah, and I think, given their track record, they've been at the forefront of XR for 25 years. They understand how quickly technology advances better than most. And so they're not just sort of sitting back and waiting to see what happens. They're actively trying to prepare for a future where AI could, surpass human intelligence.
So how do they do that? I mean, what does AGI readiness even look like?
Well, I think for EON Reality, it starts with partnerships.
Okay.
They recognize that no single company, no matter how innovative, can really navigate this uncharted territory alone.
Yeah.
So they're really pushing for public-private partnerships, bringing together, governments, research institutions, corporations to pool resources and expertise.
It makes sense, right? It's a global challenge.
Yeah.
So it requires a global response.
Yeah.
But what about the ethics of all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, as AI becomes more powerful, how do we make sure it's used responsibly?
That's a question that keeps a lot of people up at night, I think.
Yeah.
And EON Reality's not shying away from it.
Okay.
Remember that blueprint document we talked about?
Yeah. The ethical guidelines.
Yeah, the ethical guidelines for AI development.
Right.
That's a really crucial part of their AGI readiness strategy.
Okay, so they're trying to set the ground rules.
Yeah, they're trying to get ahead of the curve.
Before we even get to that point.
Right, and they're also investing a lot in research and development.
Okay.
Exploring new interfaces that could make interacting with AI, more intuitive, more seemless things like neural control or advanced voice recognition.
Wow.
As AI gets more complex, we may need new ways to interact with it that are more natural than, keyboards and screens.
So this is where it gets really sci-fi.
It does get a little sci-fi, but I think it's important to start thinking about these things now.
Yeah.
And EON Reality is really betting on open source collaboration here.
Okay.
They're saying, if we share knowledge, if we work together, we can accelerate innovation and find solutions much faster than any one company could on its own.
Okay, so partnerships, ethical guidelines, pushing the boundaries of research. What about the humans? I mean, how are we going to prepare people for a world where they might be working alongside, collaborating with these really intelligent machines?
And I think that's where their focus on purpose comes full circle. They believe that by helping people understand their own unique purpose and value, we can empower them to thrive in an AI-driven world.
So it's not just about teaching technical skills.
It's about critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, all the things that
make us human.
Exactly, the things that make us human. And, they're putting this philosophy into practice through those XR hackathons and experience labs.
Okay.
Those events aren't just about teaching people how to code. They're about fostering a mindset of innovation, collaboration, purpose-driven problem solving.
It sounds like EON Reality is trying to build a movement.
Yeah, more than just a company.
Yeah, a movement.
It's about starting a conversation.
Yeah.
A global conversation about the future of AI and humanity's role in shaping that future.
Yeah, and I think that's a conversation we all need to be part of.
Absolutely.
But I am curious about something. They talk a lot about democratizing AI and XR making it accessible to everyone. But what does that actually look like? How do they reach 1 billion learners?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's where I think things get really exciting. And that's what we're going to talk about next.
Awesome. Can't wait. Okay, so we talked about EON Reality's big vision, their commitment to open source and even how they're planning for AGI. But let's get practical.
Yeah.
How are they actually going to bring this technology to 1 billion learners worldwide. That's a huge number.
It is a huge number, and it's a challenge that they're approaching from a lot of different angles.
Okay.
So first off, they're leveraging the power of the cloud.
Okay.
Making their XR platform and AI tools accessible, through these cloud-based subscriptions, which really lowers the cost and the technical barriers.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more accessible.
Exactly. You don't need any fancy hardware or software.
Right.
You can access everything you need from a web browser, whether you're in, a major city or a remote village.
So it's affordable. It's accessible.
Yeah, right.
But what about the content? I mean, creating these high-quality XR experiences is really time-consuming and expensive.
Yeah, it can be, but that's where their AI-powered content creation tools come in.
Okay.
So they're developing these AI algorithms that can basically automate a lot of the, really tedious and repetitive tasks involved in building these XR experiences.
So 3D models, animations?
Yeah, think about generating 3D models, animations, interactive scenarios.
Wow.
With just a few clicks, all powered by AI.
That's great. That frees up educators to focus on the actual teaching part.
Pedagogy, storytelling, the really important stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But even with all that, you still need to get it out to people.
Yeah, you need a distribution network.
Yeah.
And that's where partnerships are so important. So EON Reality is working with, governments, educational institutions, NGOs all over the world to integrate their solutions into these existing learning ecosystems.
Okay.
They're also partnering with companies, to create XR training programs for their employees, reskilling initiatives for industries that are undergoing transformation.
Right.
And, their work with the National Skills Development Corporation in India is a great example of how they're doing that.
So cloud-based access,
Yeah.
AI-powered tools.
Mm-hmm.
Huge network of partners.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
I'm starting to see how they could actually reach 1 billion people.
Yeah.
But one thing I keep coming back to is this idea of purpose.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot, but what does it actually look like, in these learning experiences?
Yeah.
How do they make sure it's not just engaging,
but
also aligns with, human values and goals?
That's a great question. And I think it really gets to the core of EON Reality's vision.
Okay.
They believe that learning should be more than just acquiring information. It should be about empowering people to discover their passions, develop their talents, and contribute to the world.
So it's about making it meaningful.
Exactly. Meaningful and engaging. So their XR experiences are designed to be immersive, interactive, emotionally engaging.
Right.
They use storytelling gamification, real-world simulations to bring it all to life.
So it's not just about memorizing facts.
No, it's about connecting with the material on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And, their AI algorithms are constantly learning and adapting to personalize the experience for each individual learner.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm really impressed by EON Reality's ambition.
Yeah.
And their belief in the power of technology to make a positive impact. It seems like they're not just building a company, but a movement.
I think that's a great way to put it. A movement to democratize learning, empower individuals, and prepare humanity for a future where AI is a tool for good.
A tool for good.
And a future where learning isn't confined to classrooms.
It's integrated into our lives.
Lifelong learning.
Exactly. Lifelong learning and growth.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it has.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into EON Reality's vision.
My pleasure.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to create your own immersive experiences.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to build the next groundbreaking XR experience that changes the world.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.